my slips, my falls, my trials and tribulations, my heart, my balls, my somebody stop me, somebody come and get me. Little did I know that the Lord was riding with me. The dark, the light, my heart, the fight, the wrong, the right is gone.
Hi, I'm Daniel Jones. I'm a former staffer with the Senate Intelligence Committee. I'm doing an interview for Team JVS.
All right, first question for you.
Sure.
How were you approached about turning this defining moment in your life into a movie?
Sure. So when the report came out in December of 2014, my job in the Senate was to talk to journalists and researchers and people in the creative community about the declassified Senate report. And Scott Burns, the writer and director of the report, was somebody who called right away and called over and over and over again. And he had read the report, he had read other books, and at that time he said he was thinking about doing a film, but he was really focused on the contractors. He was thinking about framing this as actually a dark comedy originally.
Wow.
And the more we talked, eventually he had shifted to do the film that, of course, he did, which is far more serious.
Extremely more serious, I would say. So I know when we do a lot of these films, the subject has no say-so on who plays them. How did you feel when you first heard that Adam Driver would be playing you?
Well, Steven Soderbergh, who's a producer in the film, had just completed a film called Logan's Lucky with Adam Driver, and which Adam is wonderful in it. And it was really Steven's idea to approach Adam for this film. Adam and I, we've talked about this. We share a sort of a similar approach to our work, right?
Okay.
A seriousness to our work, a bit of an obsessiveness with our work, but also a degree of gratitude that we were able to be placed in these positions where we can make a difference. And as soon as Steven introduced Adam and Scott, it went quickly from there. And I think Adam does just this fantastic job in the film.
That's great. Now, how did you feel when you first saw the film?
Yeah, so I saw bits and pieces along the way. My job was just to help Scott with the facts. Getting the facts right. It was really important to Scott. But I don't think I actually took in the film until the Sundance Film Festival, right? That was the first time I'd seen the film with other people, right? I think at the Eckerd Theater, it was probably 1,200 people in the theater, so it's a quick jump from that. And I was just heartened by the reaction. And each time the film is shown, people are quite taken by it and the importance of not only this story itself, but the importance of the overall narrative to the times we live in today.
Exactly. Now, do you think the film nailed your working relationship with Senator Feinstein?
Well, Annette Bening, who I think is just fantastic in this. She's amazing, right? Her and Adam discussed this a lot. The role of the difference between a senator and a staffer. The staffers are there to serve senators, plain and simple. And senators have a far more difficult job than staff. They have to do 10 minutes on water issues in California, 10 minutes on health care, 10 minutes on national defense. And as a staffer, particularly in this regard, I was thrown into a basement and told, do this. This was my life. This was my job. And you're always fighting to get a little bit of time with the senator and help shape what's happening. And I just think Annette and Adam did a fantastic job of pulling that off.
Okay. Now, with the release of the report, do you feel this has made the intelligence community become more transparent with things, or have we gone backwards, possibly?
Well, I hope one of the lessons of the publication of the declassified summary in December of 2014 is you can do this and you should do this. The American taxpayers paid for this program. They're paying for the investigation. They have a right to see what was done in their name and with their dollars. There were predictions that this report would be released and there would be violence around the world and that American hostages would be killed. I mean, these were the things the intelligence community were saying to prevent the release of that report. Of course, the release of the report came out and none of that happened. And the lesson there is, we could deal with a lot more transparency than we have today.
Okay. Now, my last question, which is highly important to me. What do you want people to walk away from this movie thinking, not just about you, but also just about the report? People who didn't know about the report before it was released and the backstory and the hours, years that you worked on the report.
Yeah, you're right about that. I mean, when the report came out, it did great in print media, right? But it didn't permeate culture.
Yes.
And films have a way of creating a narrative and permeating culture and making change and making people really reflect and understand. So number one, I hope people understand the story and realize that what was done in our name never should have happened. Number one, torture does not work. It's ineffective. Two, the agency needs robust oversight because they provided misinformation about what they did repeatedly to President Bush and President Obama, right?
Exactly.
So this is a bipartisan issue, right?
Yes.
And I hope it reinvigorates the need, people's understanding of the need for legislative oversight over the executive, regardless who is president.
Exactly. Well, this has been Team JVS interviewing Mr. Daniel Jones. Thank you for your time,
Thank
sir.
you so much. This was fun. Great.
Oh,
Thanks.
Peace.